Now to the legal action against former President Trump. Special counsel Jack Smith filing a superseding indictment against him relating to his actions to overturn the 2020 election results. Smith says he narrowed some of the allegations after the Supreme Court ruled on presidential immunity last month. A new grand jury indicted Mr. Trump on 4 new charges. Joining us now to help us break all of this down, we've got NewsNation legal contributor Jesse Weber. Jesse, good morning to you. What's different about this reworked indictment?
Well, it's definitely slimmed down. It went from 45 pages to 36 pages, but a lot of it is similar, right? The charges that Donald Trump is facing are the same. Having said that, this is a retooled indictment that is keeping in mind the Supreme Court's decision. So some of the allegations are still there. Everything about Donald Trump allegedly involved in the fake elector scheme or trying to pressure state or local officials, that's in there. But when there's specific instances, for example, the Supreme Court, in what I thought was a very vague and ambiguous ruling, they made clear that Donald Trump's interactions with the DOJ and the Attorney General, that all is immune. There's absolute immunity. So any references to him weaponizing the DOJ to overturn the election, any references to co-conspirator 4, which we believe is Jeffrey Clark, that has been taken out. There's also been a reframing that Donald Trump in this indictment is no longer necessarily referred to as the president, but more as a candidate for office. In fact, one of the things that's included in this indictment is one of the lawsuits that Donald Trump's campaign filed with respect to the Georgia results. Now, originally, it was said that it was filed in Donald Trump's name. Now it's filed in Donald Trump's name as his capacity as a candidate for office. The theme here, what Jack Smith is trying to do is, this is not any actions he took as commander-in-chief. These are not official actions. These are done personal in nature to benefit the campaign. It's actually an aggressive move by Jack Smith. I will tell you why. One of the things that I wasn't sure if he was going to keep in this indictment, but he has, was the references to Mike Pence, the vice president at the time. Now, the Supreme Court said that Donald Trump's conversations with Mike Pence might be presumptively immune. Can the prosecutors overcome that presumption? Jack Smith says he can, because he says that Donald Trump allegedly pressuring Mike Pence to get involved in this was an abuse of power, that the president has no power, has no role in the certification process. So that is an aggressive approach put forward by Jack Smith, and he has taken the Supreme Court ruling, tried to work it into the facts of this case, and now we have this revamped indictment.
Right, and with this reworked indictment, now what are the chances that Jack Smith is maybe more successful this time around?
Well, look, now that we have a framework, it's not an entirely clear framework. What happens is this will go to Judge Chutkan. She will work through it. She will determine whether or not Jack Smith's allegations fall in line with the reasoning of the Supreme Court. This will be litigated again. This will probably go up to the Supreme Court. I always thought that they should have given everyone a clear-cut answer about what allegations in this indictment are absolute immunity, presumptive, what should have been immune, what they can move forward with or not. They didn't. They left a lot of this up to the trial court, the fact finder, to determine. So this is going to take a while to sort through. But I will tell you, there are certain parts of this indictment that seem to me, based on the Supreme Court's reasoning, that could go through against Donald Trump.
Speaking of the timetable of all of this, no chance any of this happens before the election in November.
You mean a trial? I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening.
What's the timetable then? How does this all play out?
So this has to go to Judge Chutkan. There could be oral arguments. There could be a briefing schedule. Then it'll have to move up to Donald Trump if he doesn't like the outcome of that result. We'll appeal it to an intermediate court. This will make its way to the Supreme Court. I don't see this being resolved for months, maybe even a little bit longer. And I think there's really interesting fundamental issues at play. One of the things I'll just mention real quick also was social media, right? So the idea that the Supreme Court said, the president has the ability to use social media to talk about policy and his roles as a president. Jack Smith said, sure, but not when he is giving a speech on January 6th. That's a campaign speech. That's him doing it in his personal capacity. So again, the Supreme Court created a new framework, and Jack Smith is the first one, and I don't know if we'll ever see this again. I mean, how often will you see presidents being charged with crimes? Yeah. But this is the first kind of application of it. And it's fascinating from a legal perspective, a legal nerd's perspective. It's fascinating to see.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.